Congresswoman Katie Hill. Before she was in Congress, she was the executive director of People Assisting the Homeless PATH, a statewide nonprofit working to end homelessness. Congresswoman, welcome back to The Issue Is.
Thanks so much for having me, Alex.
So, what is your reaction to the latest numbers?
My reaction is that this isn't too much of a surprise, to be honest with you. And so many of us who had advocated for Measure H and Prop HHH, the resources that we've invested in the city and county of Los Angeles recently, is, you know, we knew that homelessness is a huge problem that's been decades in the making, and it's not going to be solved overnight, but that we have to do something. I think about it in the same way that I think about climate change and wildfires. You know, we have to deal with the problem that we're facing right now, which is people, you know, tens of thousands of people who are sleeping on the streets, but we also have to address the systemic factors that are causing homelessness in the first place. And we have not really been able to address those problems, you know, the systemic factors. The issue, or the ballot initiatives on Prop HHH and Measure H have been able to help with the immediate need. But we've got, you know, massive issues related to overall housing affordability, to income inequality, to, you know, the fact that people are living just a paycheck away from losing their housing, and that more people are becoming homeless than we're able to get out of homelessness. So I think that it hopefully is a wake-up call to people that, yes, the programs that we've put into place are working. We're housing more people than we ever have before, but we have to do more. And part of that needs to be a commitment coming from our federal government.
Well, right now, the state of California is led by Democrats. The city of Los Angeles is led by Democrats. LA County is led by Democrats. And yet this problem continues to get worse. Is this a failure of liberalism? Is it a failure of democratic politics that this keeps getting worse?
No, not at all. This is finally, now that we have this leadership in place, we have people who are willing to take on the problem. And I have to give so much credit to our political leaders right now in the city and county of Los Angeles who have taken this on. It takes a lot of courage. We knew from the very beginning that taking on the issue of homelessness, no matter what you do, it doesn't matter how much money you put into it, you will not solve homelessness in a short period of time. You will not solve homelessness in the period of any political term. And the fact that, you know, Eric Garcetti was willing to take this as his signature issue is a real testament to how much he cares about the issue and how he was willing to put the political risks aside because he felt like it was such a crisis and it's something that we had to address. So, you know, to me, this is and frankly, I think that really this is so important for people to understand. We are finally getting the investment and the willingness to address this issue head on from our state and local officials. And I'm so proud to be part of a community, you know, across the entire state of California that is prioritizing this in the way that it needs to. But you can't fix it alone. You can't fix it alone with, you know, state and local investment. It has to be part of an overarching plan on how we're dealing with these systemic factors. And it's, you know, homelessness is not a simple issue. It's a compound of a broken system. And we have to look at it in its entirety, and that's something that I feel like my role in Congress and my mandate in Congress is to really address this, because there are not very many people who have the expertise that I have, and we know solutions that work. We know the kinds of things that we need to be investing in, but the reality is that it takes a commitment, it takes resources, and you know, I think that this is, hopefully we're hitting a moment in time where we're hitting a critical mass, and people are paying attention to it in a way that they haven't before, and recognizing that we cannot continue to push this down the road. We have to address this now, because the problem is only going to get worse. It will not get better until we address the underlying causes.
So as we mentioned, before you were in Congress, you were dealing with homelessness on the ground. What was the most important lesson you learned from that experience that you think other people may not know when it comes to the issue of homelessness?
I would say there are a couple of major lessons, one of which is you hear this myth a lot that people want to be homeless, and that's simply not true. Some folks do. No, they don't. That you will hear that because they might be pushing back to resistance to services because they've had such a bad experience in the past, or they're dealing with addiction or mental health issues. The thing that I try to equate this to is that nobody in, you know, a stable state of mind is going to willfully choose to live on the streets. That's just not how it works. So people really do need to kind of recognize that we have to have a system that's set up to meet people where they're at and figure out what it's going to take to ensure that they are able to access the resources and that we're going to them to help them get into the services that they need, into the housing that they need. And not put it as like, oh, well, they're too hard to serve or they're just somebody who doesn't want housing, because it's just simply a false narrative. It's something that we have to reject outright and create our programs and our philosophy behind it without that as kind of the basis for it. But the second thing is, people you would never guess are homeless are, and people you would never guess are just a paycheck away from becoming homeless are. And we currently, when the economy is doing well, we have record lows for unemployment, and things just overall in the economy look pretty great. But when that's the case, you actually have higher rents and lower vacancy rates, and the pressures that for people at the margins are so much more significant that you end up having more people become homeless, right, not the other way around. So we've invested a lot historically when we hit a recession, for example. There was a massive investment in the homelessness prevention and rapid rehousing program at the federal level previously in the 2009 American Recovery and Reinvestment Act.
Yes.
But that is not when you need it the most. You need it the most when the economy is doing well.
All right, last question, because I'm running out of time. In 20, 30 seconds, the most important thing that we need to do going forward on homelessness.
The most important thing we need to do is A, stay the course with the local investments, and B, really put the pressure on our federal officials to do their part at the national level.
All right, Congresswoman Katie Hill, thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.